That's right. We are back for NFL Week 16 recap. Let's go. First up, we have the Chargers beating the Broncos on Thursday Night Football 34-27. What a awesome game this was on Thursday Night Football. And that is surprising considering that most of them are boring as hell. But this game was pretty exciting. And the biggest moment of this game was when the Chargers scored a free kick for a field goal that hasn't happened in over 50 years. And Cameron Dicker nailed that 57-yard field goal for the Chargers. And they really needed that field goal. The Chargers were also underdogs heading into this game, and they managed to stun the Denver Broncos. And the biggest moment of this game, is there any other choice? Obviously, it's the free field goal from the Chargers just before half, where Cameron Dicker nailed a 57-yard field goal to make it 21-13 entering the half. Shout out to Gus Edwards for scoring 2 touchdowns. Next up, we have the Chiefs beating the Texans 27-19. This game will be remembered forever as the game Tank Dell scored a touchdown and he got injured in the process. And also, CJ Stroud was incredibly emotional from this scary injury from Tank Dell. And I don't blame him. I would be really sad if my teammate got seriously injured. Personally, I blame the Chiefs' dark magic. But this game is how everybody would expect it to go. The Chiefs will win in a really close game, not scoring over 30 points, and still manage to win. That's how the Chiefs are. They will win in really, really close games to a team that is really good or a team that is really, really bad. Because that's how it goes. God, I'm gonna quit watching football if these guys three-peat. I swear, I'm not lying. But the biggest highlight of this game, the Tank Dell injury. What else was it gonna be? And before he got injured in this game, he scored a 30-yard touchdown to make it a 1-point game. And after the injury, the Texans missed a field goal. Because, of course, it does. And then the Texans couldn't do anything in the last 5 minutes, which pretty much sealed the game. Yay. Up next for our second Saturday Night Football game, we have the Ravens beating the Steelers 34-17. Good for the Ravens for getting revenge on the Steelers, because they really deserve that win. And now both of them are neck and neck to win the AFC North. And the biggest moment of this game was Marlon Humphrey's 37-yard pick six to pretty much seal the game for the Ravens. And meanwhile, for the Steelers, they didn't really do anything really impressive in this game outside of Chris Boswell's 51-yard field goal just before half. But yeah, congrats to the Ravens and Steelers. Take that, because y'all are frauds. Next up, we have the Falcons beating the Giants 34-7. Michael Penix is the future of this franchise. That's all I'm saying. And despite Michael Penix getting the job done, he didn't even throw a single touchdown pass, which is the only downside of this big win for the Falcons. And also Bijan Robinson scored 2 touchdowns as well. And there were also 2 pick sixes, one from Jesse Bates, who had 55 yards, and Matthew Judon for 27 yards. So yeah, the defense, led by Jesse Bates and Matthew Judon, and Bijan Robinson got the job done for Atlanta. And meanwhile for the Giants, Drew Lock was terrible and Now the Giants have the #1 overall pick, and they're definitely going to use that pick on Shedeur Sanders. So, yeah. Next up, we have the Lions beating the Bears 34-17. Both quarterbacks played out of their minds in this game. Both threw for over 330 passing yards and scored over 2 touchdowns. Although Jared Goff scored 1 more touchdown than Caleb Williams, but that still counts for something. And the biggest moment of this game is Jameson Williams' 82-yard bomb from Jared Goff to go up 20-0 with 12:49 left in the second. And for the Bears, Keenan Allen had a nice touchdown, so that's something. And despite the loss for the Bears, Caleb Williams played really well in this game. So I'm going to give the man credit. Next up, we have the Panthers beating the Cardinals 36-30 in overtime. Bryce Young is that dude. That's all I'm saying. And shout out to Chuba Hubbard for scoring 2 touchdowns, one of which was the game winner in overtime. And also, both quarterbacks had over 20-yard touchdown run. Bryce Young had 23 and Kyler Murray had 20. And overall, it was a pretty exciting game, even though outside of both franchises, nobody really cared. But this game was exciting, and yeah, I'm impressed. Shout out to the Panthers for pulling it off, and the Cardinals, you guys wasted your chance on making the playoffs. Sucks to suck. Next up, we have the Rams beating the Jets 19-9. I'm going to be real with you. I didn't watch a single moment from this game because I knew that the Rams were going to win, but there was not anything to highlight from this game. I mean, just look at this. But I guess I would say, I don't know, Joshua Carty scoring 2 field goals, I guess. They needed all of it to basically pull off this unimpressive win by the Rams. So, yeah, the Rams probably have a good shot at making the playoffs, and the Jets, they should move on from Aaron Rodgers, honestly. He was supposed to be the savior for this miserable franchise, but he made it way worse. So, yeah, next. Next up, we have the Commanders beating the Eagles 36-33. Give Jaden Daniels his Rookie of the Year award right now. Look at his stats. 258 yards, 5 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Those interceptions kind of makes his stats less impressive than it already is, but he still came through when it mattered most, especially on that game-winning touchdown. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts didn't play, so Kenny Pickett came in, and he did all he could, even though he has really tiny hands. Seriously, those things are really, really tiny. But, yeah, he had really unimpressive numbers. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley had 2 touchdowns, so that's pretty cool. And it looked like the Eagles were going to win it all in this game after they were up 27-14. But Washington didn't go away. Especially when they scored the game-winning touchdown with 6 seconds left, which was a pass to Jamison Crowder for a 9-yard touchdown. And they scored the 2-point conversion to pretty much seal the game and give Washington a one-way ticket into the playoffs. So congrats to Washington, and for the Eagles, you guys should be fine. You guys are going to make the playoffs. So, yeah, next. Next up, we have the Bengals beating the Browns 24-6. Joe Burrow is keeping this team alive. And he played amazing in this game. 252 yards and 3 touchdowns. And meanwhile, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was terrible, throwing 2 interceptions. And the biggest highlight of this game was, I guess, Jamar Chase's 32-yard touchdown to pretty much seal the game for the Bengals. And Cade York got revenge on his old team, which is pretty good. And once when Cincinnati was up 17-0, you know that the Bengals won this game. And for the first time in Joe Burrow's career, he swept the Browns, which is pretty awesome, honestly. And yeah, we're still alive. Hooday, baby! Next up, we have the Colts beating the Titans 38-30. Anthony Richardson is a bust. Because look at this. 7 for 11, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. He completed 7 total passes in this game. 7 for 11. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor, he had 3 touchdowns, so good for him. And meanwhile, Mason Rudolph, who famously almost died by Myles Garrett, threw 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And yeah, this game was surprisingly entertaining, to say the least. And the biggest highlight was Jonathan Taylor scoring a 70-yard touchdown run to pretty much give the Colts a 31-7 lead. So yeah, congrats to the Colts for a big win, and they should get a new quarterback, and Tennessee, your season's over. Next up, we have the Vikings beating the Seahawks 27-24. What a thriller of a game this was between 2 teams that are in the playoff picture. And shout out to Justin Jefferson for scoring 2 touchdowns, one of which was the game-winning touchdown. And Sam Darnold had 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. Meanwhile, for the Seahawks, Geno Smith had a up and down game. He scored 3 touchdowns but had 2 interceptions. Meanwhile, DK Metcalf had a touchdown, and also Jackson Smith-Njigba. And someone named AJ Barner. So yeah, congrats to the Vikings for winning this game, and Seattle is still in the race for a playoff spot, so yeah. Next up, we have the Bills beating the Patriots 24-21. Honestly, I don't know what to think of this game. On one hand, the Patriots did all they could to make it a close game against Buffalo, but on the other hand, Josh Allen wasn't playing 100% in this game because he was battling through an injured arm. But he still got the win for the Bills, so that's what true greatness is all about. But yeah, that's all I can say from this game, and the biggest highlight of this game was James Cook's 46-yard touchdown run to give the Bills their first touchdown of the day and make it 14-7. And he scored another touchdown in the third. So yeah, congrats to the Bills for once again getting a win, and the Patriots, I'll give them credit for putting up a really good fight. Next up, we have the Raiders beating the Jaguars 19-14. If Aiden O'Connell versus Mac Jones sounds like a boring game that nobody cares about, that's because it was. Because both of them didn't have any impressive stats, honestly. And there wasn't anything really exciting that happened in this game outside of Brian Thomas Jr.'s 62-yard bomb from Mac Jones. So yeah, let's move on. Next up, we have the Dolphins beating the injured San Francisco 49ers 29-17. Miami keeps their season alive. And the biggest star of the Dolphins is Jason Sanders. He nailed not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 field goals in this game. And Miami needed all of them to win. Meanwhile, for the Niners and Brock Purdy, they couldn't get the job done, and now they're eliminated from the playoffs. So yeah, life isn't fair, unfortunately. But Miami deserves credit for keeping their season alive. So yeah, next. Next up, we have the Cowboys beating the Buccaneers 26-24. Where do I start? Let's see. Our receivers were pretty inconsistent all game. Rachaad White cost us the game big time when it mattered most. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We looked like we were going to put the game away when we had the ball with less than 2 minutes left. But Rachaad White had to drop the ball, which was apparently a fumble and recovered by the Cowboys, sealing the win for Dallas. And now we're in a tough spot to get into the playoffs, because right now Atlanta is so far ahead of us to win the NFC South, and we just got to hope that Washington beats them next week, and we need to win all out. But yeah, congrats to the Cowboys, I guess. And finally, we have the Packers beating the Saints on Monday Night Football 34-0. Spencer Rattler sucks. That's all I need to say. He was so bad in this game. Really, really bad. And meanwhile, Jordan Love and the Packers did all that they could to defeat the Saints. And did you know that's the first time all season that a team got shut out this season? So congrats, New Orleans. Maybe it's karma for Bountygate, which resulted in you winning a Super Bowl. But yeah, congrats to Green Bay, and now they're in the playoffs, so good for them.